She laughed at first, but within seconds, her smile vanished. In front of millions, Jimmy Kimmel said something that made Jennifer Aniston freeze, then stand up and walk off set. What did he say? And why did she leave in tears? Stay tuned. This gets real. Before diving into the story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the latest stories. Jennifer Aniston walks out on Jimmy Kimmel. What he said left her fuming. It was just after 11:30 p.m. when the iconic doors of Jimmy Kimmel Live swung open and out stepped Jennifer Aniston. The audience erupted in cheers. Dressed in a sleek, black designer outfit that shimmered under the studio lights, Jennifer looked every bit the Hollywood royalty that she is. She was there to promote her latest movie, an emotional drama set for a summer release. And the energy was exactly what you'd expect. Upbeat, charming, and lighthearted. The band played her in with style, and as she approached the stage, Jimmy Kimmel stood to greet her with a warm handshake and a side hug. Everything was perfect. At first, Jennifer settled into the plush guest chair, crossing her legs and sipping water with her signature smile. She and Jimmy launched into an easy conversation, reminiscing about their first interview, joking about aging in Hollywood, and of course, laughing about the never-ending popularity of Friends. You know we're all still making money off reruns, right? Jimmy chuckled. Jennifer laughed. Barely. I see it on every channel, and I still think, did we really wear those outfits? The audience roared. It was vintage Aniston, fun, witty, and effortlessly cool. But then the tone shifted. Jimmy, known for pushing boundaries with his humor, decided to get cheeky. A little too cheeky. He pulled out a mock script titled Friends, The Retirement Years, and began reading fake lines in a raspy old voice, poking fun at the cast's age and physical appearance. Jennifer tried to play along. At first, could someone be any more in need of a hip replacement? Jimmy read, impersonating Chandler. Jennifer forced a smile. All right. Jimmy pushed further. He pulled out a photoshopped image of Jennifer and the rest of the Friends cast edited to look decades older, complete with walkers, liver spots, and droopy expressions. Here's what the reboot will look like, folks, he said, holding it up. The crowd laughed, but Jennifer didn't. Her smile faded. That's not funny, she said, trying to keep her tone light but noticeably sharper. Jimmy didn't catch the shift. Oh, come on, Jen. You've joked about aging before. She sat up straighter in her chair. Sure, I have. But mocking the way I look, or my friends, just feels kind of cheap. You know, Jimmy tried to backpedal. It's all in good fun. That's what we do here. Jennifer nodded slowly, placing her water bottle down. There's a difference between fun and disrespect. And frankly, I've dealt with enough of that in this business. The studio fell awkwardly silent. A few nervous chuckles floated up from the audience, unsure if this was a bit or real tension. Jennifer glanced toward the backstage curtain, then back at Jimmy. I came here to talk about my film, a project that means a lot to me. Not to be ridiculed for aging, something that, by the way, we should all be proud of. The tension was palpable. Jimmy tried to defuse the moment with a joke. Well, at least you don't have my hairline. But the damage was done. Jennifer stood up. Thanks for having me, Jimmy, she said, her voice composed but unmistakably cold. Jimmy blinked. Wait, are you leaving? She nodded, and just like that, Jennifer Aniston, America's sweetheart, walked off the Jimmy Kimmel Live stage. The camera awkwardly cut back to Jimmy, who sat there stunned, trying to salvage the moment. Well, I guess the retirement episode's canceled, he said, trying to laugh. But there was no laughter. Not in the audience. Not at home. Not online. Within minutes, the clip began circulating across social media. Twitter exploded with hashtags like #RespectJen, #KimmelBacklash, and #TeamAniston. Fans flooded the internet with support for Jennifer, praising her for standing up for herself and for calling out the ageist humor that too often hides behind a laugh track. Later that night, Jennifer posted a calm but pointed message on Instagram. Kindness doesn't cost a thing. Neither does respect. We can laugh without tearing each other down. The post went viral. Celebrities chimed in. Reese Witherspoon, Courtney Cox, and even Oprah reposted it with words of support AS for Jimmy, sources close to the show said. Producers were scrambling behind the scenes, unsure if the segment would ever air or if it would be edited entirely. Meanwhile, Fans and critics alike were asking one question. Did Jimmy Kimmel finally go too far? One thing's for sure, Jennifer Aniston may have walked out, but she walked out with her head high and the world behind her. Jennifer Aniston confronts Jimmy Kimmel on air after unexpected question. Audience left speechless. Midway through what had started as a lighthearted, charming interview, the vibe in the Jimmy Kimmel Live studio suddenly shifted. Jennifer Aniston was comfortably seated, laughing along, promoting her latest movie, and sipping from a crystal-clear glass of water. The usual jokes were flying. Age, skincare, and of course, friends. Everything felt familiar. Then Jimmy leaned forward with a sly grin, shuffling a small stack of cue cards in his hands. "Okay, Jen," he said, "let's play a little game I like to call truth or rumor." The audience clapped, intrigued. Jennifer raised an eyebrow, unsure but amused. "Truth or rumor?" she echoed. Jimmy chuckled. "I'll read out some gossip, and you tell us if it's true or false. You game?" Jennifer smiled, leaning back in her seat. "Let's do it." The first few questions were cheeky, even fun. "Did you and David Schwimmer ever date in real life?" Jennifer laughed. "Rumor. Though we did have a little crush thing back in the day. Do you actually use Aveeno? Or is that just for the commercial?" She smirked. "Truth. I mean, have you seen my skin?" The crowd ate it up. The banter was quick, effortless, and warm. But then, Jimmy pulled out another card, and the tone took a turn. He looked at it for a moment, then said with a smirk, "All right, here's one people really want to know." He read it aloud. "Is it true that you and your friends' co-stars hated each other behind the scenes?" The audience laughed nervously. A few gasps. Some leaned forward in anticipation, thinking it was just another harmless joke. But Jennifer didn't laugh. She froze for a beat, blinking as if trying to register what she'd just heard. Then she looked at Jimmy, dead in the eye, and asked calmly, "Excuse me?" The audience chuckled again, more unsure this time. They still thought it might be a bit. Jimmy gave his trademark grin, waving it off. "I mean, come on. 6 big stars, all that fame, all those egos. There had to be drama. You and Courtney Cox not speaking for years, that sort of thing." Jennifer didn't smile. Her tone dropped. "That's not funny, Jimmy. That's personal, and it's not true." The laughter vanished. Jimmy, clearly uncomfortable, tried to rescue the moment. "It's just a game, Jen. People are curious. I thought we could clear the air." Jennifer sat forward, placing her hands on her lap. "You know, I come here to talk about work I care about. My movie, my craft. And somehow, it always circles back to friends, or worse, gossip that pits women against each other." There was no applause, just silence. Jimmy awkwardly chuckled. Okay. That one was a swing and a miss. My bad." But Jennifer wasn't done. "No," she said. "I want to be really clear. The 6 of us, Courtney, Lisa, David, Matt, Matthew, and I, were and still are like family. We supported each other through breakups, addiction, illness, everything. We still do." She took a breath. "I know you think it's just comedy, but this stuff sticks. Rumors take on a life of their own, and then people start believing them. And the truth gets drowned out by clicks and punchlines." Jimmy nodded slowly, visibly thrown off his usual rhythm. "You're right. I shouldn't have brought that one up." Jennifer gave a tight smile, polite but firm. "Thanks." There was a long pause. Then, surprisingly, the audience erupted into applause, not forced or cued, but genuine. People stood up. They clapped for Jennifer's grace, her honesty, and her willingness to stand up for herself and her friends. The rest of the interview was subdued. Jimmy shifted topics quickly, back to the film, her directing debut, her upcoming charity gala. But the spark was gone. The tension had cracked through the shiny studio surface, and the internet noticed. Within minutes of airing, the clip of the awkward exchange hit social media. Twitter lit up with praise for Jennifer's poise. She handled that like a queen. Jennifer Aniston shut that down with class. Media men still think mocking women's friendships is fair game? Jennifer said nope. Even Courtney Cox chimed in with an Instagram story later that night, posting a heart emoji over a screenshot of Jennifer at the interview. Lisa Kudrow reposted it with a caption, "Family is family." Jimmy's show didn't issue an official statement, but the clip mysteriously vanished from the official YouTube upload the next day. One thing was clear. Jennifer Aniston came for an interview, not a roast. And when the line was crossed, she didn't raise her voice. She didn't storm out. She spoke the truth, unapologetically, and the world listened. Jennifer Aniston walks off Jimmy Kimmel's show. "I didn't come here to be humiliated." The energy in the studio had completely shifted. What began as a cheerful late-night interview had now taken a sharp turn into deeply uncomfortable territory. Jennifer Aniston, known for her poise and grace under pressure, now sat frozen, no longer smiling, no longer playing along. The question had landed like a slap. Jimmy Kimmel, trying to keep things light, had veered into personal territory, bringing up long-debunked rumors about tension between Jennifer and her friend's co-stars. The crowd had laughed nervously, but Jennifer didn't. And now, the room was dead silent. Jimmy, clearly sensing the awkwardness but hoping to brush past it, gave a half-hearted chuckle. "I mean, we're just having fun, right?" he said, looking around as if waiting for the audience to jump in and lighten the mood. But they didn't. Jennifer stared straight ahead, then looked off camera. Her expression was calm, but visibly disappointed. She took a deep breath and said, with quiet clarity, "I thought this was going to be a respectful interview. I didn't come here to be humiliated." There was no anger in her voice, just truth. And that made it even more powerful. Jimmy blinked, still unsure whether she was serious or just setting up another bit. He leaned forward slightly and said with an uncomfortable smile, "Jen, come on, don't be so dramatic." The words echoed, and that's when it happened. Without raising her voice, without making a scene, Jennifer Aniston calmly reached behind her neck, unfastened her mic, and stood up. She didn't say another word. She didn't storm out. She simply walked off the set, with the entire room watching in stunned silence. The audience gasped audibly. A few people instinctively clapped, unsure what to do. Producers in headsets scrambled in the background, waving at the camera crew and gesturing to cut the feed. Jimmy sat frozen in his chair. A beat passed. Then two. Then, cut to commercial, but it was too late. The cameras may have gone dark, but the moment had already been captured by dozens of audience members with their phones out, and by millions who would soon see it online within minutes. Clips of Jennifer walking off went viral across social media. Jennifer Aniston just walked off Kimmel. Respect. She handled that with so much class. You go, queen. You don't humiliate women on live TV and get away with it anymore. Period. Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram exploded. Hashtags like hashtag respect Jennifer, hashtag Kimmel called out, and hashtag not just drama began trending worldwide. But the internet wasn't the only one watching. That same night, multiple celebrities began posting support for Jennifer. Reese Witherspoon tweeted, "Respect isn't optional. Proud of you, Jen." Kerry Washington added, "A masterclass in composure." Crown, even Mindy Kaling posted, "If Jennifer Aniston walks off, you really crossed a line." The following morning, news outlets ran the headline across every entertainment site imaginable. Jennifer Aniston leaves Jimmy Kimmel mid-interview. "I didn't come here to be humiliated." Meanwhile, insiders at ABC confirmed that the producers were blindsided by the fallout. They had no idea Jennifer was that upset, or that the clip would cause such a stir. That a few hours later, Jennifer posted a short but powerful message on her Instagram story. "Grace doesn't mean silence. There's a line. I stood up when it was crossed." Simple, direct, and incredibly effective. The post was shared over 2 million times in less than 24 hours. Back on the show, Jimmy opened the next night with a noticeably more serious tone. He addressed the situation, saying, "I want to take a moment to apologize to Jennifer Aniston. What was meant to be a playful segment clearly went too far. I regret how it came across, and I respect her for speaking up." The apology was adequate, but for many, the moment had already defined itself, because what people saw wasn't just a celebrity standing up for herself. It was a woman, respected, experienced, and beloved, refusing to laugh off disrespect disguised as entertainment. She didn't yell. She didn't call names. She just stood up, unmiked herself, and walked out. And in doing so, Jennifer Aniston reminded the world of something crucial. Fame doesn't mean you have to tolerate disrespect, especially not on camera. Especially not from someone who should know better. And that, perhaps, was the most powerful statement of all. Jennifer Aniston's walk-off sends internet into frenzy. Truth behind the viral moment revealed. The internet exploded. It only took a matter of minutes after Jimmy Kimmel Live abruptly cut to commercial. By the time the credits rolled, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube were already flooded with clips from the audience. Unedited, raw, and very real. Jennifer Aniston walking off a live talk show wasn't just unexpected. It was unprecedented. She didn't storm out in rage. She didn't curse. There was no dramatic meltdown. But it was the stillness, the calm way she removed her microphone and left the stage, that sent chills across social media. It was quiet. It was powerful. And it was everywhere. Overnight, the moment was reposted millions of times. Twitter erupted. TikTok had reactions and breakdowns. Instagram Reels replayed the walk-off in slow motion with dramatic music layered underneath. Everyone had an opinion. Some fans came out in full force behind Jennifer. Jimmy crossed a line. That was cheap, clickbait TV. She handled it with class. Enough with the forced gossip. There's a difference between humor and humiliation. Respect Jennifer. Others weren't so sure. She's overreacting. It's a comedy show. If you can't take a joke, don't go on. This is just Hollywood drama. Move on. But there was one thing everyone agreed on. Something about that moment was real. And it hit harder than anyone expected. What fans didn't know at the time was what Jennifer had been carrying with her into that interview. Behind the glam, behind the promo smiles, she had just wrapped up 6 straight weeks of filming and emotionally intense drama, a story about betrayal, friendship, and public scrutiny. The film, which required Jennifer to access some of her deepest emotional reservoirs, had left her physically and mentally drained. Sources close to her later shared that she had been doing interviews and press junkets back to back, with almost no rest. That night on Kimmel, she was hoping for something light, playful, familiar. Instead, she found herself defending her friendships. Again, it wasn't just the question, it was the pattern. Every interview circled back to friends. Every headline twisted her relationships. And that night, it was too much. Jennifer's rep released a calm but pointed statement the next day. Jennifer respects journalism and good humor. She does not support misleading gossip used as entertainment. She hopes public conversations can evolve to honor truth without sacrificing integrity. It was short, but it hit the mark. Dignified, firm, and totally in character. The conversation online shifted. People started reflecting on how media often pushes women, especially successful, aging actresses, into uncomfortable corners under the guise of humor. It wasn't just about Jennifer anymore. It was about every woman who's ever had to smile. Through subtle jabs and laugh at jokes made at her expense. Later that week, Jimmy Kimmel opened his next episode in a more somber tone than usual. He looked into the camera and said, "Before we begin tonight, I want to take a moment to address something that happened here earlier this week." The audience went quiet. Jennifer Aniston has been a friend to this show for many years. She's funny, brilliant, and one of the most respected actors in the world. I meant no harm with my questions. It was meant to be funny, but I clearly crossed the line. Jen, I'm sorry. Sometimes in comedy, we miss. And when that happens, we should own it. The apology was met with mixed reactions. Some praised him for owning up. Others thought it was too little, too late. But one thing was certain. This wasn't going to be swept under the rug. Jennifer didn't respond publicly. She didn't need to. Instead, she returned to promoting her film on her own terms. Other talk shows reached out. Interviews were restructured. Boundaries were respected. And the movie? It shot to the top of the pre-release buzz charts, partly from the press, but mostly because audiences now saw Jennifer in a different light. Not just as Rachel Green, not just a red carpet icon, but a woman who had spent decades navigating the spotlight and finally decided to draw a clear, necessary line. She didn't walk out because she was too sensitive. She walked out because she was tired of being laughed at when she deserved to be heard. Jennifer Aniston breaks her silence after walk-off. There's a line, and I drew it. A week had passed since the night Jennifer Aniston quietly removed her microphone and walked off the Jimmy Kimmel Live set. The internet had already chewed up every frame of that moment. The clip had been analyzed from every angle, dissected by body language experts, debated by fans, and captioned by creators across platforms. Some called it one of the most powerful statements made on live TV without a single raised voice. Others called it a long overdue reckoning for late-night comedy's dependency on cheap jabs and recycled gossip. But Jennifer herself, she stayed silent, at least for a while. Then, exactly 1 week later, she reappeared, not on Jimmy's show, but on another beloved late-night program, with a host known for empathy and warmth. The audience gave her a thunderous standing ovation. She looked radiant, composed, and confident. The host, sensitive to recent events, didn't push or prod. But midway through the interview, as they discussed the media, mental health, and the challenges of being in the public eye for over 2 decades, the subject naturally surfaced. Jennifer addressed it, briefly but powerfully. "I just think people should know where the line is," she said calmly. "Especially when it comes to mental health and personal relationships. There are things you don't joke about, because you never know what someone's walking in with." The audience nodded in solidarity. Some applauded. The host simply replied, "Well said." And that was it. No rant, no name-calling, just truth, measured, grounded, and delivered with the grace people have come to expect from her. But the message landed hard. Across social media, fans erupted with renewed support. The hashtag their line began trending, filled with messages from people sharing their own experiences of being pushed too far, of being expected to laugh it off, of being mocked for the sake of someone else's punchline. Jennifer's decision to walk off wasn't seen as dramatic anymore. It was seen as dignified. People saw in her the same strength they wished they had in moments when they stayed silent. She had modeled what it meant to hold a boundary, even under the hot glare of studio lights and national television. In the days that followed, dozens of fellow celebrities, especially women, spoke up in interviews and online about their own experiences being ambushed, objectified, or forced to play along in uncomfortable segments. Actress Natalie Portman wrote in a post, "What Jennifer did wasn't a moment. It was a message. You can be professional, poised, and still say enough." Meanwhile, Jimmy Kimmel, for his part, remained mostly out of the spotlight following his public apology on air. He addressed the controversy once and then moved on. But fans noticed something. He and Jennifer haven't appeared together on screen since no follow-up interview. No reunion segment. No behind-the-scenes reconciliation photo. Whether that silence is mutual or strategic is unclear. What is clear is this: that night is now remembered not because of drama, but because of dignity. It was a turning point in how audiences view celebrity interviews, especially for women in the spotlight. It forced producers, writers, and hosts to rethink what makes good TV. It reminded viewers that behind every public figure is a private person, someone with limits, someone with a life, someone who deserves respect. In an era where viral moments often come from humiliation, this one stood out because it wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It was quiet, poised, powerful. A woman said, without saying much at all, "I won't play along with something that tears others, or myself, down." And millions heard her. The story didn't end in scandal. It ended in solidarity. And for Jennifer Aniston, it became a defining moment not just in her career, but in her legacy. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply get up, walk away, and let the silence speak for itself. What do you think? Did Jimmy go too far? Or was Jennifer overreacting? Let us know in the comments below. White heavy checkmark if you liked this story. Hit the like button. Bell, don't forget to subscribe for more viral celebrity moments and behind-the-scenes drama. Every week, loudspeakers share this with a friend who loves Jennifer Aniston. Thanks for watching, and remember, respect never goes out of style.